Welcome to the Superhero Sidekick Leadership Coaching Podcast with Joel Smith and Joe Baker. We're here to help you develop your superpowers. This is the Superhero Sidekick Coaching Podcast. I'm Joel Smith.
I'm Joe Baker. We're not here to be the superhero. We just want to be your sidekick and help you along in building your business, building your not-for-profit. Let's help you grow it fast and really scale.
Be sure to check us out on Facebook and visit us at superherosidekick.com. Welcome back to the Superhero Sidekick Coaching Podcast. I'm with my friend Joe Baker, who's a co-host. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm excited for today. I've got my ankle up on a chair here, and I'm recovering from my accident and doing well. I'm excited for another very exciting week.
So today we've got a really cool guest in the virtual studio. He's an entrepreneur, a CEO of Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. There's over 70 locations in the U.S. So we have Lance Farrell on the show today. So Lance, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. Hey, I understand that you're a 6th-degree black belt. Is that right?
I am. Yeah. The older I get, the better I was.
Wow. The better I was. Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I'm always impressed by people that master. I have a nephew that's I think he's 9 and he's a black belt. So that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of just staying with it and persistence to get a black belt, and then to go beyond that, it's just about helping other people and helping them achieve different levels, and it's just really a lot of fun. And I'm blessed to be able to have been in it for as long as I did in the past. I'm not active in it right now because I focus on the body shaping, but it's always kind of a part of you when you do it for that long length of time.
Yeah. So I understand, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. This is kind of a mix between martial arts and traditional bodybuilding. Is that right?
I wouldn't say it's martial arts really. We do kickboxing. It's more of like Billy Blank's fitness kickboxing, like the Taibo that you may have seen years ago. It's more of that style of kickboxing, as opposed to the rigid martial arts. It's more flowing and relaxing. You're just getting a really good cardiovascular workout for 45 minutes in our program. And then the strength training comes from what bodybuilders did, and we do a group exercise with that. But the nutrition is also key, and then the coaching. So those are the 4 components that really make us successful with helping people receive those results that they expect.
Okay, so you got the 4 components. Can you say those 4 components again?
So the cardiovascular, which we use fitness kickboxing for that, really pushing the heart and cardiovascular system. And then the strength training to really build those muscles, to really shape a person's body so they look good. Once they take the body fat off, they can see the nice physique underneath. I always like to say there's a Michelangelo inside of all of us, but he started with a big rock, when he carved that out, and then he had the perfect image of David, right? So all of us have that inside us, but it's covered up a lot of times. So we use the nutrition then to help people fuel their bodies for things that are going to grow those muscles, to give them the best physique. And then really, if you know what to do, but no one's holding you accountable, it's hard to stay with it. So we have a really nice coaching component to help people stay with the program after they learn what they should do. So Joel, if you're supposed to come at 5:15 in the morning to do class, whether it's through Zoom at home or whether it's in our facility, and you don't make it, we're going to call you up and say, "Hey, Joel, we missed you this morning. You okay?" And then you say, "Oh yeah, they're watching me. I better show up," right?
Yeah, don't you think that's probably the missing ingredient to most companies in this business? Just that coaching
I think
part?
it's very important, and it's easy to do. So it's just a matter of making that a priority when you're the head of that facility, to have people doing those things, just following up with them. And another part on the nutrition side is if person's logging their food, which we like to have them do so we can see what they're eating, because you can't outrun your fork, But if they're logging their food and then they show us, there's another level of accountability. And a lot of people aren't excited to share what they're eating, but once they get in the habit of it and making better habits, then it becomes a pride thing for them, and they're proud of it.
You can't outrun your fork. I love that.
You cannot outrun your fork.
I've never heard that before. So
what do you think is the trick getting people in the door? Because we talked about this on another show, how everybody knows how to lose weight and to look better. The basics of it, eat less and, work out more. But nobody does it because they just don't follow through with the plan. And you've got a great plan, but how do you get people to actually follow through, to show up? And I get to call them on the phone. But are there any other tricks that you pull to get someone in the door and keep them on the plan?
So initially, I think a lot of people have some anxiety. They have fear that they're going to come in here and look stupid. They don't want to come in and look stupid or be the person that is the worst shape of everybody else. And so that's a big hurdle for the average person. And so we just want them to know that, hey, you know what? You're not going to feel out of place. We have all different shapes, sizes, and ages, and it doesn't matter where you're starting. We're going to do a baseline orientation, figure out where you're at, do a few little simple fitness tests, and then at the end of the 10-week session, which we have prizes of $1,000 if they're the most transformed in 10 weeks, at the end of that, we're going to do those little fitness tests again and see how you improved. And once they compare the before and their after, and we do photos too to see how they do that way, they're usually just super proud of how they've done. If they stay with it, they're going to get great results. And so our job is to really hold their hand, get them through it from the very beginning, from the initial phone call, help them feel comfortable. Because so many people, they haven't exercised for a long time, or they're embarrassed about how they've kind of let themselves go. And you know, the thing is, you don't really move off your plan. You skid, you kind of slide off your plan. So it's not a big, all of a sudden now, boom, you did that. You just kind of slide gradually off of those good eating habits or the good workout habits that you've been doing.
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you keep someone, or get someone who comes in the door who feels totally like you're going to make fun of them? How do you get them to feel secure in doing like aerobic exercises? I mean, what do you do?
So it's just having a conversation with them and then actually taking them through some basics. We just have to assure them, look, we've been doing this for a long time. We've had all different sizes and shapes of people come in. You're no different from many people we've had in, and we can say that with confidence. We've helped people that are morbidly obese that are over 400 or 500 pounds come in and have great results. So we can do it for them. And so it's a matter of us giving them the confidence through our experience and then showing them how to do it and just showing them some basic fundamentals. Here's how you do a jab. Here's how you do a cross. Here's how you do a roundhouse kick. They're not complicated, and you know, during the class you're going to be taxed. It's going to be hard, but hard is good. That's how you get results. Yeah.
Wow. And what would you say? Do you think coaching is the most important component? Like where you're actually like, or is it the working out, or what do you think is the component that makes them the most successful in it?
I feel like all four of them are very important, and we have the prize money out there as a carrot as well. $1,000 for everybody that goes through the 10-week session has a chance at every location to get that. We've given away $2.5 million so far in the past 20 years. And then there's the national contest, which is a 12-month $10,000 prize for a male and a female. And that's all of them pooled together, so there's not 10,000 every location. But those carrots kind of give people a goal. And instead of having the mindset of, I'm going to stop eating candy, I'm going to stop doing this, I'm going to stop all this negative mindset. Instead, you know what? I'm going to try and win that $1,000. I'm going to try and win that $10,000. That's a much more motivational and positive way to approach it than that I'm not going to, or I can't, or I won't. So I want to put the good stuff out there and not focus so much on the stuff they're not getting. But and then once people get in good habits, then they look forward to eating healthy, and their palate actually changes. They're not craving the stuff they used to eat that may not be so good, like the Mountain Dew or whatever.
I'm crazy about that $1,000 giveaway because I'm training my son Sam to climb El Capitan, and he'll be the youngest in just a couple of years. And we go to the gym about 5 nights a week until I broke my ankle, and so had to push our training back a little bit. But we have a scoreboard at home, and I track his score, and he gets so many points every time we go based on the climbs we climb and him doing harder and harder routes at the gym. And he's on a mission to get a motorbike, and he's 6. And so he gets so many dollars per point. And that is, I don't know how I could do it without that incentive piece. And I've never actually heard of a gym where the gym is actually giving away money to their people that are paying. But it sounds like one of the most ingenious concepts that there are, because that incentive lights people up, and it makes them come out and show up. And even just to win, I mean, that sounds really exciting to get your picture probably on the wall. So how did you come up with that?
So you ask about what is the most important components of our program, the kickboxing, strength training, nutrition, the coaching. And I'm going to tell you that they're all important, and you're not going to have the success if you leave one of those out. You're leaving out part of the ingredients to the cake you're trying to bake. You leave the eggs out, it's not going to turn out right. So they're all important, and our head coaches would tell you the nutrition is the most important. Well, that's probably the hardest thing to get people to change, but it's not hard when you follow the system. But the coaching that we use is kind of like martial arts culture. So if you think about Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san and how he was the loving, caring martial arts instructor that helped lift Daniel-san up to do things through a positive motivation he didn't think he could do and he could never do without that coaching, that's what we're doing with our people, is we're giving that positive coaching. If they come in and they can't do a push-up, we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on what they can do and get them to work themselves into doing a push-up eventually, then feeling that success. So we're celebrating those successes, and we're always being very positive about it. There used to be a show on called The Biggest Loser with Jillian Michaels, and people would lose, hundreds of pounds, but it was such a browbeating thing that they would do to these people, and they would just get all over them. That's not the approach that we use. We like the Mr. Miyagi, hey, we're going to lift you up thing. We're going to love you and help you focus on your strengths, and then your weaknesses won't be as obvious.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. And it does seem like you really set yourself apart in that way with the coaching and just that people development from a relational perspective. So Lance, what really inspired you to get into this industry? I mean, I know you started off kind of being that guy, but how did you go from being that guy to turning it into a business?
Well, I went to school at Iowa State University, studied martial arts there, and then opened a full-time martial arts school when I left there. I taught part-time for several years first, then moved to Des Moines, opened a full-time martial arts school, then 2 years later opened another, then 2 years later another, then 2 years another. So we had, in a matter of about 8 years, we had 4 martial arts schools. And I was just traveling around looking for things to do to add to it, like the rubber nunchucks and the bow staff and the things that we hadn't focused on much before. How can we enhance our program? Well, and this is going to answer Joe's question, how to come up with the prize money. Went down to a seminar in Florida, and it was a NATMA seminar, and it's a bunch of martial arts professionals, and we're looking at all these different options. And Ernie Reyes Sr., whose son, Ernie Reyes Jr., was one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles originally in the movies. They're in the West Coast Karate. They're into movies and stuff. They did this demonstration on stage. And during this demonstration, Ernie Reyes Sr. is 55 years old at the time. He gets his shirt ripped off. It's a slow motion demonstration, and he looks like he's just chiseled. He's a professional bodybuilder. Like, wow, look at that guy. Well, they get done with the demonstration. He puts his shirt back on, he gets in front of the microphone. He says, hey, guys, I've been doing this thing called Body for Life. You should try it. It's by Bill Phillips. It's just what bodybuilders have done over the years to get their great physiques, and they kind of made it so the average person could do this. So I bought 10 of the books, gave them to all of our staff. Hey, read this, guys. Let's do this for a year and see what happens. Well, a couple of us stayed with it, and we had decent results. So this is what we can do. So in his book, Bill Phillips actually had a $1,000 prize for people. He didn't have the 10,000. We've expanded on that. But it's the same concept. So you're eating, your nutrition is protein the size of your palm, carbs the size of your fist, and you're eating 6 times a day, plus green vegetables, lots of water. And that's counterintuitive. When we started doing this 20 years ago, I was like, wow, you're going to eat 6 times a day and lose body fat? Yeah, so that's what we did. It's just eating smaller portions, no buffets, you're going to be smart about your food. But the cardiovascular 3 days a week, Bill Phillips said running, swimming, those things. Well, we plugged in the fitness kickboxing. Strength training could be free weights, whatever. We did the group exercise with the bands. We can do it together. We found out by having a row of mirrors in a room and have everybody do the same exercise with these rubber bands, they would push themselves more than they would if they weren't looking at everybody else in the mirrors. So you have some competition going on there, and it really works. And whether you're holding a bucket of water, a dumbbell, kettlebell, or a rubber band, as long as you reach muscle failure, break those muscles down, they're going to develop and grow and burn that fat. So it's all designed around group exercise, which is motivational. It's really a big family and people that are supporting each other. And we took the coach to an extreme level, and we said, okay, for every 10 people or fewer, we're going to assign a coach. And their full-time thing is to make sure these 10 people, or maybe it's 5 people, are getting 100% attention. If they miss class, they call them. If they have a question about the nutrition, they're on it. They're just motivating them. They're helping them tweak their technique in class, walking around the room helping them. So that's the coaching component that I feel kind of separates us out from other fitness concepts.
Yeah, that is terrific. So talk to us a little bit about, and I know Joe's going to love this part because this is how Joe thinks. He's always thinking about how to make things grow fast and get things elevated. But give us an idea, Lance. What strategy did you use for scaling your business?
So Joe maybe hasn't heard this before because we didn't have a strategy. So what happened was. I did not intend to grow. I did not intend to be a franchise. We grew. We had like 4 martial arts schools, and then I had a guy, and we were doing this like part-time. So we were doing the body shaping within the martial arts schools, and we had 2 or 3 classes a day that we would allow people in, and we would limit the number to 50 people total because we would have 10 people in a group, 1 person per coach. So we'd have 5 coaches fully dedicated to those 10 people. Once we got those 50 people in that 10-week session, that was it. We drew the line. So we ended up having waiting lists of hundreds of people because the people that were doing it were getting such great results. They're telling their friends, and there was like a stampede to get in and sign up for the class before it sold out. And one of the guys approached me from Grimes. His name was Woody, and Woody said, "Hey, I want to open one of these in Grimes." And he goes, "But if I open a Farrell's all by itself without the martial arts, 50 people is not going to pay the bills. I've got to do something. I got to at least get 100 people." And so I remember like lecturing for like an hour about how if you have 100, you're going to have 10 good coaches, and because we can't lose that culture, that part that makes it successful with the results. So anyway, Woody opened. He had hundreds of people coming in. In his first session, he had 100, and we ended up again still having waiting lists for like 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. classes, or 5 and 6 a.m. because they would just fill up. We can have like for every 35 square foot of mat space, we can have 1 person. So you have a 2,000 square foot room, you can have 75 people in that class. And we were filling these classes up, and then now we had a waiting list because our classes were too full to hold any more people. So that was a good problem to have, but still a problem that we worked around. So we added a 4:15 a.m. class to take some of the slack off the 5 o'clock class, or 5:15. And some of our locations sold that class out. So those people are getting up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to come in and do class, some of them, because that's the only time that was available. So we feel very blessed, very, very blessed to have those issues. But Woody said, "I want to open," and so we sold him a license, and I ended up selling about 6 or 7 other licenses. And then I decided, there's 3 ways to expand your business. You can have corporate stores where you put all the money up, do all the expansion, hire your managers. You can do licenses, which is what CrossFit does, where there's no protected area and you can sell them anywhere. Or you can do a franchise where you're giving a little more support with an operations manual. You're getting a monthly royalty from your people for that service and support. And we felt the franchise model was the best model for us to go with. And so we converted our first 6 or 7 licenses into franchises, and then started with the franchise model. And up until like last year, we had never really pressed to sell franchises. It had all come from people that were instructors and coaches that had had their lives transformed themselves and said, "Hey, I want to pay it forward. Can I open one of these like Woody? Can I open one of these in Grimes?" Because his life, he'd lost like 80 to 100 pounds himself. Now we're realizing, hey, you know what? Our growth is going to be very limited if we just limit it to the people that went through and had great transformations. Let's find other transformers out there that want to help people, that are fitness minded, and we can get our franchise out to those people as well. So we've changed the way we're growing, and it's working pretty good.
So of the 70, how many did you do last year? How many did you add on last year?
So last year we only added a couple on. You're talking 2020 with COVID hitting in March.
Yeah.
And we had some scheduled to open, but one is in California, Irvine, California, and unfortunately they're kind of still in lockdown, so they've put that on pause. And
was your bigger growth the year before 2019?
We've grown strong and steady. We've been in this for 20 years, and with like 70 locations, it's just a few every year.
Okay.
So we haven't had any big bursts. But I feel like right now with our new development company, we're really poised to grow. We've got everything in place to have some good expansion.
Yeah.
We have created FXB University, which is where we train our franchisees that are coming in on every aspect. There's an online learning platform they get into. We've got incredible sales training program with Eric Russell. He wrote a book, The Art of Selling Memberships, which is the #1 New York best-selling book. He does trainings 3 times a week with our team. It's just amazing how much we're putting into the training of this. Yeah, we've got all the bases covered.
Okay, and how did you survive COVID last year? How did you make it through 2020? Did you pivot? Were there tricks? Was there some way to make this work? Did they shut you down?
Yeah, we got shut down completely in the mid-March 2020, and I was telling Joel a bit ahead of time kind of what we did. So we actually realized when that happened is we were more of a life coaching company than we were a fitness business, because we were doing group exercise, we were able to right away record some pre-recorded group exercise, put them on YouTube so our guys could plug in and follow along with a class. But we really liked the interaction, being with people, being in community. So we set up some Renovo televisions that have the TV or the camera right on top so we could do Zoom classes. So when we started doing Zoom classes, when nobody could come in, we'd have one instructor and a couple people in the back that were just demonstrating. And then we could see our dozens of people that were chiming into that class through Zoom and be able to coach them. And I could say,
wow.
Hey, Joe, keep your hand up a little more, you know. So we're able to do that with our physical part. Then with the nutrition, that's easy. You know, fill out your food log, turn in, let's review it. And we could Zoom with them and do personal coaching with them through their nutrition or whatever it is they might need help with. Same thing with the strength training. So we did kickboxing, strength training, Zoom classes, and we're still doing those now. So what's interesting because of that, and we never had this happen before, we've had some people that were loyal fans of the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping System, but have moved from Sioux Falls, South Dakota down to Tyler, Texas. That's one example. And she's a full-blown member of Farrell's, and she's doing it in her basement where she got a heavy bag down there. She's got the bands. She's doing her own thing. She's chiming into our Zoom classes. So we've created Farrell's at home. So now we have people in several states where there's no Farrell's that are actually doing our program.
Wow, yeah. That's amazing.
That is amazing. So can you let people know where they can get a hold of you or where they can learn more about Farrell's and how they can get involved?
I would say just go to joinfxb.com and take a look around, and you'll be able to see some of our $1,000 winners, our national contest that won $10,000, those folks, and just read some of their stories. It's pretty remarkable, and I'm very humbled by that. Okay.
And what if you're a person interested in a franchisee? Can they find their way there as well?
Yeah, there's a way to investigate the franchise through that same site. So joinfxb.com and you can get more information.
Excellent. All right. Well, hey, thank you, Lance, for being on our program. If you want to hear more of Lance, just click on the next episode because we're gonna keep recording here. So appreciate your time, Lance, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Thanks, Joel and Joe.